Hi, I'm Bryce Button with HDR Video Systems, and here we are at NAB 2018. We've got some great updates on the HDR front. Our FS-HDR box has been out a number of months now and is selling really well. If you're not familiar with the box, it does real-time color and high dynamic range transformations, all the way from camera log formats to PQ, for instance, or HLG. And you can go HDR to HDR between the HDR formats, SDR to HDR because you're going to have to go mix in your older materials, and then HDR to SDR when you've got to deliver an occasion, obviously for folks that may not have an HDR set. So with the version 2.5 firmware that we're announcing here, we've got a couple of great additions. You'll see down here next to me we have a tangent KB panel, for instance, and that gives you very quick access with physical knob control, which just makes it a lot easier for folks doing live production to come in and control particular parameters they'd like to. We've also added a great range of BBC Hlg Luntz. So if you're working in a scenario where you need those strict mathematical calculations, we have you covered right here. We will also have brand new HDR test patterns. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to set up your monitoring. And we've added a bunch more parameters for control as well, so you can actually shift your HDR intensity, for instance, just giving you a bit more creative control again. So we're very excited at NAB to also show you a new tech preview, and this is called the HDR Image Analyzer. And working with our great partners at Colorfront again, we are effectively taking some of the most powerful test and measurement tools in the market, and again putting it into a real-time box. This effectively sits in a 1RU server, and you'll see that we're actually displaying the waveforms, the vector scopes. And when it comes to HDR, of course, you need to measure nit levels. It includes things like auto error logging. So a very quick and efficient way to look at where you actually sit as you're working with these new color spaces, especially for 2020. And with automatic error logging, if you're doing masters, for instance, you can very easily and simply collect all that data and know where you're at. So this will sit very well inside the production chain. Post-productions, for instance, if you're working with colorists, once you get to your master. So we're very excited to bring it to market. Being a tech preview, we're showing it here. We're getting a sense of the reaction. Obviously, we'll need to figure out pricing. So when it comes to trucks, the HDR Analyzer will be another essential piece of equipment to have in there. You know, it's in a 1RU form factor. It can join everything else in your rack. And again, trying to make workflows more efficient, we've introduced the concept of something called single master workflow. So instead of having two separate trucks for SDR and HDR, we've turned on the SDI monitoring output and allowed you to actually put separate transforms on that. So you might be using the 4K or HD main outputs doing one transformation, and then you can use that second SDI monitor to do a completely different transformation, even potentially a different frame rate. So this is giving people a lot of flexibility and cuts down on timing issues. When you're bouncing between two trucks, for instance, you are introducing all sorts of latency. And we're trying to help the process there to get you, obviously, the quickest image to air. And again, on the HDMI output there, which will help you in a truck or even on set, we turn on the infra frame data so that you're actually outputting this across HDMI. So as you start looking at HDR for your workflows, think about it for HD as well. We're finding that for a lot of broadcast needs, HD HDR is just as important as 4K or Ultra HD.